Hello and welcome to our third installment of Fantasy Failures. As always, we will have a recap of last week's turmoil and what was branded as one of the most dismal fantasy weeks in recent history. We will, of course, go over Magic and Tragic, recap our studs versus duds for the week. I'm Nick Crookshank, he's Cam Backstrom, and we've added Oomba TV personality Justin Gillerman.
Unbelievable.
Not because we wanted
that's
to.
what happens when you go 2-0 and beat the crap out of everyone.
Okay.
And
now So, moving on. First of all, this week was bad. It was terrible. Okay? Top tier running backs disappointed on so many levels. Shady put up a grand total of 10.3 points on 9 yards. Okay? And DeMarco Murray, 3.8 points on 25 yards. So, Justin, what happened?
Well, I don't think the Bills' offense is clicking right now for Shady. Plus, they're facing tough run defenses right now. Carolina's known to have a good run defense. And I just don't think the implement of the new coach as well, not sure how to get Tyrod Taylor going. I think that's not getting LaShawn McCoy going, and they also don't have any weapons in the receiver position.
Fair enough. I mean, speaking of Carolina, Christian McCaffrey also disappointed this week on a huge level. I'm actually benching him in my league. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm sick of the hate. I'm sick of it.
Terrence West, baby.
Yeah, sadly, and I have to listen to you talk about that. So what do you think happened?
For days. Well, you know, my two people that really failed epically were Ezekiel Elliott and A.J. Green. Ezekiel Elliott, we know, was playing Denver defense, and that's anticipated. You know his number's going to be a little lower. But he was projected 14. He got 6.2. He got 8 yards. So
yeah,
that was pretty gnarly.
Never good.
It's
No,
not.
it's terrible.
And then for my receiver, A.J. Green on my own team, he was projected 18. He got 11.7.
Wow.
The Bengals have yet to score a touchdown. It's pretty awful in Cincinnati.
And speaking of that, Friday morning, the day after the Thursday night game, Andy Dalton was actually dropped 12,000 times by league owners.
That's what happens when you don't perform.
Okay, Marvin Lewis, I think, is a problem there. But Andy Dalton, there's something in his head. He doesn't have weapons. I mean, you could say he does with A.J. Green, Tyler Eifert. I've never been a fan. So, aside from everything else, Cincinnati's just bad. But this week for top-tier running backs, it was specifically bad.
They also just fired their offensive coordinator as well.
They did, yes.
It's going to be interesting to see how that Bengals offense progresses or regresses.
It's really sad because they have a lot of weapons. I mean, they have 3 decent running backs.
See, I don't buy it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if you think, like, if the Vikings and the Ravens had the weapons that they had, we would be even better than we already are. But I won't be the homer pick for this one. That's Nick's job.
Oh, God. All right. Well, there you have it. So, as we said, it was a terrible week for fantasy owners all across the country. Low projections, low points. It didn't happen. Like I said, Shady, DeMarco, Christian McCaffrey, whoever these guys named. It was bad. So, let's see how the terrible fantasy week affected his biased, awful power rankings. Yes, it is time for the power rankings. As always, Cam sits down and tallies it up, lies, cheats, takes bribes from people in the office to see who gets the highest power ranking. So, show me number 10.
Number 10 is Alfredo Baby Got Dak. He put up 122 points, still lost. He is now 0-2. He was previously number 8. His team showed life. Gronk put up 23.6. Drew Brees put up 22.2. But it still wasn't enough. Alfredo needs a win desperately in week 3 or that tattoo.
I don't think he needs one.
No.
It's more fun when he loses.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun.
It's a lot more fun when he loses. Not
you guys are mean.
Number 9.
Number 9, most definitely, Jeff Mura. He moved up a spot. He was previously 10. He still is 0-2, but he put up 117 points. I think that Rodgers and Bell, they start off slow, but I think they're really going to start to heat up, so I see a lot of hope in this team. Yeah. Amari Cooper would have had a good day if it wasn't for Crabtree. No. Hope going forward. Jeff, not to worry.
Fair. Number 8.
Number 8, big baller brand. Shout out Lakers to Chaz. I put him at 8 purely because he got a win in week 1 with 89 points, and he's like, I deserve to be top 3. I'm like, absolutely not. So I moved him down, specifically because of that. He was previously number 5. His lone spot on this team is
Damn,
Devontae
you
Freeman.
dropped him 3 spots?
3 spots. Because,
what?
Yes, that's right.
Holy cow.
That's right. His only hope on his team is Devontae Freeman. Other than that, Russell Wilson, sorry, 15.3 points, literally garbage. And Bilal Powell, 1.3. We already talked about that.
Yeah, no, Bilal.
He has no hope on his team.
Okay, not even being a homer thing. I think the Seahawks will be fine in the end. Russell Wilson's never been a great fantasy quarterback. I mean, yeah, 2013 he was pretty good. For the most part, he's never been a great fantasy quarterback in my eyes.
He's a quarterback that makes the plays at the right time that doesn't necessarily reflect in
Translate
fantasy.
to fantasy.
No,
points,
exactly. He'll win you games, but he won't win you fantasy.
He's going to get you a 20-point performance instead of someone like Ben Roethlisberger who has a chance of throwing for 4 touchdowns every single game.
Great point.
Exactly.
Great point. All right, number 7.
Yours truly right here. The team has no name. I moved up
Of course he did.
from 9 to 7. I'm now 1-1. Listen, my team went off, all right? Chris Thompson at 25. He was on my bench, so I would have had about 145.
I'm not sold on
Yeah.
Chris Thompson.
Oh,
I'm not
he's
sold,
good.
and
Oh,
you can't play
very
that.
good. He's very good.
Oh,
Trust.
if I would have started him, but you
All right,
didn't.
all right, that's fine.
Doesn't
guess what?
matter.
I still had Travis Kelce put up 24.9 and Buck Allen, who had 21.1. And guess what, Buck Allen, guys? He's the 9th highest running back in PPR. My team's going to bounce back pretty hard. I'm going to win this league.
I don't believe you. All right, number 6.
Number 6. It's still too soon. Team Hurricane Harvey, Kyle Storms. He was previously number 7. His team is starting to click. Mike Evans had 22.3. Ty Montgomery had a huge day with 29 points.
Yeah, he did.
He's got Matt Ryan, Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously, he had a bad week last week.
Zeke didn't show up though.
He didn't show up, but he
And-
still won, which is pretty big.
Do we think defenses might have started to figure Zeke out a little bit?
I think they're starting to figure the Cowboys offense out as a whole.
Right.
I agree.
There's a whole year of film on Dak and Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
Their wide receivers aren't the biggest playmaker receivers.
Don't tell Des
They're
Bryant.
really good at just moving the chains. Yeah, Des Bryant's not the over-the-top guy that he was. Cole Beasley's not a guy that's going to run over the top either. He's going to get you 10 yards. So I think teams are starting to figure out that the Cowboys' offense is a 10-yard to 10-yard offense more than it is a 30 to 20 yard.
There's no explosive plays
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
They're not. I mean, like you're right, Dez. He caught it.
But they have such a good offensive line that Ezekiel Elliott can have any big game whenever he wants to. It could happen at any time.
Do
so.
we think everything that's going on with the suspension is getting to him? Do we think the suspension, all the offseason drama, has affected him?
Well, I think that there's going to be talk about that, whether that's the actual case, who knows.
Right.
Maybe it's just the offense isn't clicking. They need a couple games to get things going a little bit. Credit, they play the Giants, and the Giants have looked really bad, so we can't really say that their offense is that good. They play a good defense like the Broncos, and then we see what happens.
We see what happens, yeah.
I think Cowboys fans, you're 2 games away from them
9 and
screaming.
7. I called at the beginning of the year, 9 and 7
You're
Cowboys.
2 losses away from
Don't
them
worry,
screaming
at
for
least you
Romo
didn't
to
pick the
come back.
Giants to finish first in the division.
Exactly.
Ugh. All right, number 5. I'm not going 0-13, baby. Thank you, Devontae Adams.
He got his way.
Thank you, Devontae.
Well, this one right here, as you said, is number 5. He was previously number 6. He moved up a spot. Shady McCaffrey did absolutely nothing, but Jameis Winston did. Devontae Adams, as you said, 23.9. And he put up 110 points. Very, very respectable day.
I know.
And
I'll be honest. I chalked it up as a loss. I flipped on the game, and then Devontae caught that touchdown, and I texted Chaz immediately and gave him hell about it. So what do I do this? All right, number 4.
Number 4, Lisbon Pork and Cheese, Nick Vieira. I demolished Nick Vieira here. He only scored 89.6 points. He left good old Emmanuel Sanders on the bench. I told him last week David Johnson was going to be huge. He was like, no big deal, my bench is fine. He got
Can't
kind of
replace
smoked.
that production.
He kind of got smoked. I said it was going to be a serious issue. I think this is going to be sort of a trend. I think he might go on a losing streak here because he missed David Johnson. He spent his number 1 pick on him.
I agree.
So could be bad news for him.
All right. Number 3.
Armando. Oh my God. He was previously 2. He had an absolute awful day. Now I looked at his schedule though. It was statistically for his players the toughest week for matchups wise. Melvin Gordon put up 20. Marshawn Lynch got his first touchdown. The only thing that I mentioned is DeMarco Murray. He possibly had a hamstring injury. We don't know for sure. But he has his backup with Derrick Henry, which I think was very clutch. But you know, Armando's good, and that's why he's up this high.
I think DeMarco's best days are behind him. I honestly, I mean, running backs in the league, you have about 2 or 3 good years. We all kind of know that.
He did have a good year last year, though.
He did have a
So-
solid last year. Yeah.
So
All right.
we'll see.
Number 2.
Number 2, straight out of Compton, David Compton. My gosh, he put up 134. 60 points came from 2 people. Michael Crabtree at 32 and Tom Brady at 30. He had a great day. Even with Jordan Howard putting up .7, he still absolutely destroyed it.
Can't trust any
crazy.
Bears player ever.
No,
No.
dude, the Bears. Oh my God.
It's so sad.
It's a terrible.
It's so sad.
I mean, when I was in Chicago last weekend, you walk into stores, you see the Mitch Trubisky jersey, and you're like, is he really gonna lead you to the promised
It's gonna be
land?
better than Mike Glennon.
Yeah,
Oh
Glennon's
my
pretty-
goodness,
pretty
Mike.
awful.
Don't
Glennon
you
looked
dare
like-
disrespect Glennon like that.
He's pretty awful.
Yeah. All right, and number 1.
And number 1 happens to be Justin Gillerman. I'm not even going to say his name.
He just did.
Well, your
team
actual name, your
Okay.
team name. He put up 128, and that was without Odell Beckham Jr. Well, he has him back, but he was on his bench. J.J. did well, but Todd Gurley and Kareem Hunt, I mean, my God, what a running
Yeah,
back he has there.
I was wrong with Kareem Hunt. I'll admit it. He's gonna be a star. Everybody at home, pray he loses because I'm sick of
I know.
him already, and I
It's-
can't deal with the whole season of
Keep
this.
him coming. Keep the haters coming.
26 from Todd, 25 from Kareem Hunt. You can't stop that. He plays Nick Fury next week, and I'm going to call it right now. It's going to be kind of a blowout. That's my
Wow,
power rankings.
really?
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Cam.
Another week in the books, boys.
Another week of biased power rankings. Maybe 1 week you actually get it right since you just take bribes and all that.
He's not
so
wrong.
Hey, results, man. I just get results.
Unbelievable. Who let you on?
Useless. Is your fantasy week already in shambles? Well, listen up. We got some waiver wire picks coming at you right this second. All right, so I'll start first from the waiver wire. I got a good one. And yeah, it's a homer pick.
Of course it's a homer
You
pick.
can suck it.
I'm so
Chris
not-
Carson,
so not
baby.
surprised.
Chris Carson.
Of
Okay,
course.
come on. He was projected for 5.9 points. Okay, but he put up 11 on 93 yards with 20 attempts. The Seahawks don't have much of an offense right now. Chris Carson has proved to roughly be the only thing effective on that offense, considering they're a bunch of dead birds. The only one who can catch a pass is Doug Baldwin, and God knows what Russell Wilson's head
And that
is going.
Swiss cheese of an O-line you have there.
So no, mine is Chris Carson. He should be sitting there. He's only owned in about 30% of leagues. Just look to him because Rawls is still injured. Lacey was a healthy scratch. I wouldn't be surprised if him cutting Lacey at some point. Carson looks like the kind of rebirth of that Lynch role where he will bowl into defenders and keep the pile moving.
Good pick. I like it.
I like it too.
All right, Cam?
Mine is Ed Dixon, tight end for the Panthers. As many of you know, Greg Olsen. Oh my gosh, we'll get to this later, but he went down.
I hate the Panthers.
Ed Dixon, rather, is owned in 0.1% of leagues. Go get this guy. There's no one else on the team right now that's going to fill in. He's going to take over duties. Obviously, he's no Greg Olsen, but I think he'll do a great job. And if you need a tight end, he's your guy.
All right. Justin?
Mine's going to be J.J. Nelson from the Arizona Cardinals, owning only 15% of ESPN leagues, 38.3 points in PPR, 10 receptions, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, back-to-back games with at least 5 receptions, becoming one of Carson Palmer's favorite targets hit. Their offense isn't playing that well. I look at the next 2 games they played. They faced the Cowboys, who just got torched by Trevor Siemian, and then they faced the San Francisco 49ers, who don't have a good pass defense right now. J.J. Nelson is my waiver wire pickup. Pick him up now. He's going to get at least 4 receptions per game because they just don't have enough weapons on offense to prove otherwise.
I like that pick.
I really like that pick.
I like that one
Yours
too.
is garbage. That was informative.
You know what? He has a tight end. Who's his tight end? Oh, Greg Olsen went down. Hello, right there.
Yeah, but I have Martellus Bennett
Yeah,
still.
dude, he's fine.
Well, okay.
And he's leading. He's number 1 in your power rankings.
Yeah,
All right.
baby.
All right.
Let's get out of here.
But no, thanks for that. All right. Coming up after the break, we'll have Magic or Tragic. We'll talk about our studs versus duds. We'll recap. We'll go into some new ones. And of course, a little later, we will have David Compton's pick of the week coming up.
Can't wait to hear what his pick is this week.
His pick last week, Eli Manning, wasn't that great, but you know what? We'll give it.
Hey, it's a new week. It's a new week.
You always make new ones. So stick around. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Las Vegas is home to tabletop championships in October. The Unrivaled Tournament Series conquers the Strip with hundreds of players competing in 6 games. Ascension, King of Tokyo, Munchkin, Nevermore, Epic Spell Wars 2, and Villagers and Villains. All for the chance to win part of the $250,000 prize pool. It all takes place on October 28th in the Jubilee Theater starting at 5 o'clock. Join us in person or watch us live at Oomba.tv and check out Unrivaled.com for a full schedule of events. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Failures. I'm your host, Nick Cruikshank. It's Justin Gillerman. It's Cam Backstrom. We were Emmy nominated last week.
Came up a bit short, but it's okay.
Up next, it's time for the favorite, Magic or Tragic. All right, so for Magic or Tragic this week, started off, the first player in our firing line is going to be Aaron Rodgers. All right, so we do understand A-Raj. I mean, he's had a pretty good season most of the time. He's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be fine. He knows how to chuck that ball. He's a Hail Mary God himself. He's magic.
I completely agree. He's off to a bit of a slow start, 3 touchdowns to 2 picks, but he's going to warm up just like he did last year. He'll get into a rhythm. He plays the Bengals this week, who've been absolutely terrible. Magic.
Yep, he's all magic to me. Again, he is Aaron Rodgers. He is top 2 quarterback in the league. They are playing the Bengals. We've seen the Bengals defense look like absolute crap this past 2 weeks. He's without Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb, but I still think he has enough to do it against the Bengals.
Good for you, a Vikings fan, saying he's magic. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
I try.
It'll be okay. All right, our number 2 player for Magic or Tragic this week is Captain Kirk Cousins. Now, I'm a little bit biased here. My dad is a diehard Redskins fan. I actually am a big fan of Kirk. They just beat the Rams last week. I think Captain Kirk is magic. That's just a homer pick. It's based solely because I like the dude. And next year, he'll be the 49ers starting quarterback. You heard it here first.
The Niners. Okay. Well, I'm going to say he's tragic, and here's why. I think this whole contract thing here, franchise tag, is throwing him out of sync. He's really only found chemistry with Jamison Crowder and Chris Thompson. Jordan Reed's kind of been in and out. They're playing at home against a solid Raiders defense. I just think he's tragic, guys. I don't know.
I agree. I think he's tragic. I think when you look at the Raiders defense, Garyon Conley played his first game last week, played really well.
Back.
He's going to stop Terrell Pryor. You got Carl Joseph as a safety, one of the best safeties in the league. Hasn't found his chemistry with Terrell Pryor or even Jamison Crowder, so I say he's tragic.
All right, number 3 on the list is Dalvin Cook, Florida State Vikings. I hate you. I'm sick of your team. He's tragic. I hope you lose this week.
You know what? That's so mean. Well, guess what? He's on my fantasy team, and if you guys have him in your leagues, then you're going to start him too because I think the Florida State rookie is amazing. He's magic.
I think he's going to be tragic, as much as it pains me to say this. Buccaneers have a great defense. The Vikings don't know if Sam Bradford's going to play. You saw Case Keenum last week. He didn't look good at all. They're going to stack the box. I think he's going to be tragic.
All right. At this point, Sam Bradford, even if he's healthy, you don't know if he's going to play. Is Sam Bradford going to play football again?
That's true.
Who knows? All right, number 4 on Magic Tragic is Des Bryant. Now, I'm not the biggest Cowboys fan, and even if you live in Texas, you aren't really a Cowboys fan. All the Cowboys fans are other places in the country, and they've never even been to Texas. All right, but more or less, I think he's tragic. As we talked about earlier, I do think the Cowboys' offense has been figured out. I think Dak, there's more tape on him. Des Bryant, as you said, isn't the over-the-top guy anymore. He's getting older. I think Des is tragic.
I'm gonna disagree here, and here's why. Des Bryant, he had a touchdown and over 50 yards in the no-fly zone, quote-unquote, in Denver. Maybe their offense is figured out, but they haven't figured out Des Bryant. I think he goes for 15 fantasy points again, and he does some work on Monday Night Football against Arizona. Magic.
I agree. I think he's magic. Look at the Arizona Cardinals defense. Jacoby Brissett had an unbelievable game. They just couldn't knock on the door. I think Dak Prescott's going to find Des Bryant, not for those over-the-top gains, but maybe 15 yards at a time. He's going to get a lot of receptions, I think, because, Jacoby Brissett looked good. Think about how Dak Prescott's going to look.
All right. Well, it's all just our biased opinions. Come back next week. We'll kind of talk about how we did. But Magic or Tragic Week 3 is in the books. If you don't agree, please tweet at us or DM us on Twitter at umba.ff, and I will give you Justin's personal cell phone number, and you can call him and complain to him.
Feel free to call me whenever.
So, let's go to the injury report.
All right. Week 2 is in the books. So many injuries, including some big tight ends and big wide receivers. The first one is Rob Gronkowski. He had a huge game, 100 yards and a touchdown, but he went out with a groin injury. His status is still to be announced. We'll find out probably, this show airs on Thursday, but we'll find out on Wednesday what's going to happen, so stay tuned for that. Greg Olsen, as I mentioned earlier in the show, broke his foot. He is out 6 to 8 weeks. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb from the Green Bay Packers, both wideouts. Jordy Nelson has a quad injury. He played one drive of the Falcons game, and Randall Cobb has a shoulder injury. Both of their statuses, rather, are still up in the air, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. A couple of Redskins went down. Jordan Reed, the tight end, his chest is hurt, and Rob Kelly has a fractured rib, so he'll be out for at least 3 weeks. So not good for the Redskins offense there. Corey Davis, the Titans, has a hamstring injury. He's out for 2 to 3 weeks. And lastly, Kendall Wright of the Bears has an arm injury. He's out for about 3 to 4 weeks there. So some pretty big injuries. So we will see how that has if any fantasy implications as well.
Phenomenal. Thank you for that thrilling, compelling, well-written report. I know it's your Emmy. You're going to get an edge for that.
I really will.
Greg Olsen really is sad. It does affect you pretty bad. It's going to be a problem.
And Randall Cobb, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope you lose, by the way. Moving on from all this, it is time for Stud versus Dud. So last week I picked Kareem Hunt, as you guys know, as my dud. And for those of you following along at home, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I hate him when I'm wrong.
Just play a little.
Hunt went off this week. He went 81 yards on 13 rushes, throwing 2 TDs, totaled up a total of 25.9 fantasy points. So I was wrong. Kareem Hunt.
Love it.
Thought he was a dud. He is a stud. He's going to be a star in this league. Cam, how'd your week shape out?
My dud was going to be Todd Gurley. I decided to jump on the Nick Kirkshank bandwagon here, but
Still hate him.
He went absolutely crazy. He had 88 yards and a touchdown, including a leaping touchdown over one of the Redskins defenders. He put up 26 fantasy points. Obviously, we know Justin has him. He's looking like the Todd Gurley we know from 2 seasons ago.
Of course he is. Because the 1 year I draft him, he's
of course
awful.
Of course.
Give me the love. Give me the
No,
love.
No, I know. I hate it. Looking forward to week 3. So my stud for next week, and this is going to kill me to say it, but I am, is going to be Marcus Mariota. So this has to do with a few mitigating factors. One, I think Marcus is really fast. He's throwing the ball really well right now. He's got some good weapons. But they're playing the Seahawks defense, and normally that wouldn't mean anything.
Yeah.
However, the fact the Seahawks offense can't stay on the field,
Tire themselves out.
it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. They're going to be worn out by the end of the quarter. Marcus Mariota goes off. Look at 25, 30 fantasy points, to be honest with you.
You predict us Titans win then?
Yeah.
Wow. The
I-
homer.
I
bold.
do.
Finally embracing something else besides his lovely Hawks.
I mean, I get everything wrong, so maybe it's just reverse psychology.
Of course.
Justin, who's your stud?
My stud is going to be Ty Montgomery.
Ooh.
Reason being, he kind of fills that role of every down back that can flank out wide. He can play the running back position, but in a PPR league, he's going to get those receptions, especially now with Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson unsure about their health. They can flank him out wide. Aaron Rodgers trusts him, but he also trusts him handing the ball off, and they don't have much options after him in the running game. So expect Ty Montgomery to have a big game. They're also playing the Bengals, and we see how horrid the Bengals defense have been. So expect Aaron Rodgers to bounce back and Ty Montgomery to be a big part of it.
That should be a big day.
I heard the Jets and the Bengals are going to get together and play for who gets kicked out of the league, and it's replaced by Bama. So that could be a good
Relegation.
Probably the Jets.
one. I mean, at this point, it's,
I don't know.
It's a pick 'em.
They at least scored a touchdown.
Fair. All right, Cam?
My stud's going to be Devontae Freeman. He had 84 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Packers at home. I think it's another great week versus Detroit. I expect
agree.
at least another touchdown, 85, maybe 100 yards. Solid week from Devontae Freeman.
Well, good. He can have it this weekend because I don't play him.
There you
yes. Go. All right. Now it's time for the duds. Dun, dun, dun. Nothing?
No.
Nah,
You guys-
just
We'll
I'm
let
just going
you
to
have
let you
that.
You
Yeah.
guys
one.
suck. My week 3 dud is going to be Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay Bucks. They play the Vikings this week, and Xavier Rhodes shut down Antonio Brown, and we all know Brown is way better than Mike Evans is. So Jameis has a tendency to rely very heavily on Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans' points are going to go down this week. He's projected at 15.3. I think it's more down like 7. I mean, if you're a Bucks fan, I wouldn't worry because that means Deshaun Jackson's just going to go all over the place. Because as we know, Jameis, he's having a pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only been one game, but he looked really good.
And I will
did look
say
really good.
Deshaun Jackson, because the Vikings look susceptible to the long passes against the Steelers, so Deshaun Jackson's going to be speed right through that defense when Mike Evans get locked down.
Jameis was overthrowing receivers because D-Jack was open all over the place.
Yeah.
Because he still got it, he's still fast, but he was still able to hit Mike Evans. Mike Evans is Jameis' security blanket, but again, Xavier Rhodes is going to lock him down. If he was able to do it to Brown, Mike Evans is going to be walking the park. So Mike Evans is my dud. Cam, who's your dud?
My dad's going to be Lamar Miller. Honestly, I don't know why he's still in the league.
He had over 1,000 yards last year.
I feel like he's so washed up.
Ooh!
In Houston?
Still, he had
It's-
over 1,000 yards. Look at his quarterbacks last year.
Well, I mean, I never had him in fantasy, but I always wonder, I've never been sold on him.
All right.
I'd rather have C.J. Anderson than Lamar Miller.
You see, I'm the opposite.
Well, all right. Well, he went off last week, so there's
So
that.
your dud is...
My dud is going to be Lamar Miller. They
Okay.
play the Patriots run D. I think less than 12 points.
Okay.
Justin?
All right, my dud is a trio of duds. Every single Saints running back, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Adrian Peterson. Sean Payton hasn't figured out a way to split carries with all of them, and they're coming from behind every single game. So that means Drew Brees is going to have to pass. That's going to see more time for Alvin Kamara. He's more of that guy out of the backfield that can catch the ball. So AP, Mark Ingram won't get those carries, and they're also facing the Panthers defense, which only allowed 9 yards to LaShawn McCoy last week. So stay away from the Saints running backs. There's better options out there for you, in my opinion.
All right. Well, those were the studs or duds. As always, come back next week. We'll talk about how we did. And when one of the Saints running backs goes off for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, we will publicly flog and mock Justin.
Okay.
But coming up after the short break, of course, we'll go to our head-to-head picks. And then newly crowned Oomba TV El Presidente
El
himself,
Presidente.
David Compton, will be here to make his pick of the week. Had a bad week last week, but I'm sure the president will rebound. Sit tight. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back after this.
Las Vegas is home to tabletop championships in October. The Unrivaled Tournament Series conquers the Strip with hundreds of players competing in 6 games. Ascension, King of Tokyo, Munchkin, Nevermore, Epic Spell Wars 2, and Villagers and Villains. All for the chance to win part of the $250,000 prize pool. It all takes place on October 28th in the Jubilee Theater starting at 5 o'clock. Join us in person or watch us live at oomba.tv and check out unrivaled.com for a full schedule of events. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Hello and welcome back, Fantasy Failures. As always, I am your host, Nick Cruikshank. It's Cam Backstrom, Justin Gillerman. So guys, what's your fantasy matchups out of our league for the week?
Jeff versus Alfredo. I think this is going to be a great one to watch. Drew Brees versus Aaron Rodgers. Le'Veon Bell versus Julio Jones. Obviously, some of the best players in the NFL. But this is the most important one. They're both 0-2. So someone is going to go 0-3 after this, and they both need wins. I think it's going to be a great one to watch.
0-3? Once you're 0-3, playoffs don't look good, do they?
dismal.
That's tattoo watch.
Yeah, that is tattoo watch. Hashtag tattoo watch.
Ooh, oh, thank you. Hit it.
All right, mine's going to be Kyle and Chaz, and here's why. Both guys have top-tier running backs. Chaz has Devontae Freeman. Kyle has Ezekiel Elliott. But after that, it's kind of a question who their second running backs are. They have Jaquiz Rodgers and Bilal Powell. Bilal Powell for Chaz, Jaquiz Rodgers for Kyle.
And Bilal Powell again, 1.3 fantasy points last week. Dismal.
The Jets.
Kyle does have Ty Montgomery, who I think is going to have a big game. I think Ty Montgomery's the difference. But besides that, top running backs, they don't really have much to offer. So I'm interested to see who the second-tier scoring comes from.
But all of your guys' picks aside, let's get into our fantasy picks of the week. We'll start off with mine, Golden Tate. Okay. I really think he's been a monster staple of fantasy football for years. He's been a yak machine. He breaks tackles, everything. He's going up Atlanta this weekend. Defense is a little suspect. We all know that. So I really think Tater Tot himself will go off.
Tater Tot.
Yeah, the Tater Tot.
I like that. I like that
That's
a lot.
what they call him, the Tater
Tot.
Tot. His projection was like 14.8. I think he demolishes it and goes to like 22.5. He's the #1 receiver for the Lions. It's been that way for a while since Megatron decided it wasn't worth losing anymore. So again, look for the Tater Tot to become crispy. All right, Justin, who's your fantasy player of the week?
I am going with Jarvis Landry, wide receiver from the Dolphins. Here's why. 13 receptions for 78 yards, and PPR 13 receptions are big.
Yeah.
He's Jay Cutler's safety blanket. Jay Cutler likes to rely on receivers. Look at Brandon Marshall back in the day. He got 20.1 points last week. I think he's projected around 15 points this week, but they're playing the Jets. So that's a key. I know Jay Cutler kind of looks shaky, but
the Jets are a
13 receptions
team
against the Chargers, who have a decent secondary. You put him up against the Jets. I think Jarvis Landry finds some holes, and I think he scores at least 1 touchdown this week.
I like that. You know, speaking of Jarvis Landry, he put up, as you said, 20 points last week in fantasy against Chargers. My pick is going to be Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill goes off. I'm thinking like week 1 against Patriots goes off.
Yeah,
I'm thinking touchdown, 100 yards. It's going to be a solid day from Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs look good, guys. This could possibly be the year.
This might be the
they
year.
they make it over the hump. So look for Tyreek Hill to go absolutely crazy this week.
All right. I like it. But we must now get to Cam and I's head versus head challenge picking. Whew. Currently, we are still tied at 4-6, and I have a hunch that this week will not be much different. All right. So, for the first pick, we'll start off with David versus I. David is projected at 115. I'm projected at 113. However, as much as I hate to admit it, I do agree with you. I really think David will curb stomp me, and if I don't pick him, he'll fire me. So, David, here's your pick. I hope you lose. What about you?
Same. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I know. It's bad.
He's going to win. But you know what? You never know. There's always hope. Fantasy any given week, but I think David's got it.
All right, Jeff versus Alfredo. Right now, Jeff is predicted to body Alfredo. Okay, it's like 121 to 110. I don't think it'll be that big of a blowout, but Jeff is going to roll Alfredo and smoke him. Oof. It's done. Alfredo's going 0-3, buddy. I'm really sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Well, as you said, the spread right now on projections is huge, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I actually have Alfredo, though, over Jeff.
Woo!
I do. I think Julio Jones is going to have a good day, and I think that'll be the difference in the matchup there.
All right. All right, Armando versus Cam next. Armando had a down week. I'll be honest, he's pretty good at fantasy football.
He's pretty solid.
He really knows this stuff. Armando's going to run away with it, dude. You're going to lose. I take Armando.
You know, like I said, I didn't choose myself last week and I won, and I'm gonna go with that same strategy again. I think Armando's gonna win, just based on matchups. I mean, I have Marcus Mariota playing against Seattle. I know you took him to do well. I'm always scared of Seattle defense, so I picked up another quarterback.
It'll be like 85 degrees with 90% humidity. Sheldon Richard's gonna flop dead on the turf.
Okay.
Richard Sherman, they're thinking about buying houses on the field because they're on the field so freaking much.
That gives me some hope, but I still have
would have
Armando
hope.
by I'm thinking at least an 8 or 10 point difference. So it's okay. 1 and 2 is fine. It's fine.
All right. Chaz versus Kyle. Chaz lost to yours truly last week, and I don't think I'm going to rebound either. Also, I'm really sick of hearing about Lonzo Ball already, so I'm biased to begin with. So I'm going to go with Kyle here.
I'm the same here. I think Kyle's got it. I know, as Justin mentioned, it's going to be that battle between Jacrizz Rodgers and Bilal Paul. But the Bucks look pretty good. They look better than the Jets, at least.
No, Bucks look good.
So I think that's enough, and I think Kyle's got it.
I agree. For the final one, we have Nick versus Justin. Even though he's 2-0, you've always bet on the long shot. I think Vieira is going to hand Gillerman his first loss. Ooh. And I pray to God it happens. I know you don't agree with that, do you? No, you don't.
But it pains me to disagree with you. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to lose so badly. But Justin's got a solid team, and it's enough. And I think he's going to win by maybe 10, 12 points.
Wow.
It'll be decent spread.
Wow. Alrighty. Well, there you have it. Those are the picks. Again, come back next week. Follow along when we're probably still tied by some weird, awful reason because none of us can do anything right. But right now we go to the Umba TV El Presidente, the offices of Mr. David Compton for his pick of the week.
Let's hear it, David.
Okay, look, McAdoo, maybe learn to call a play or two and get it in on time. And my pick of the week, Eli Manning, will crush for you. Quit being a jackass.
Thanks, David.
I think they play the Eagles.
I guess it's a solid pick.
I mean, their secondary is not great. I mean, it's been burnt toast for a while.
I mean, you hope he doesn't get sacked 5 times again.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? Isn't the saying goes, like, the more times you do it, if it's not right, at least it's a success. More repetitions.
Or
More
insanity.
or it's insanity, but it's okay. No big deal.
As always, please follow us along on Twitter at UmbaFF. Send your mean-spirited comments at Cam or Justin.
Please don't.
I will cry, and I will make one of them tweet back to you. So that sounds like fun. I want to thank you all for following along at home. He's Cam. He's Justin.
I'm actually Cam.
I'm Justin. He's Cam.
One day I'll get it. Not too concerned. As always, may your team in fantasy season never be a failure. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye, buddy.